Hey, Sean here, and in this video I'm going to go over 5 tips for better email open rates. Now, email is by far one of the best online marketing strategies that you can use. In fact, 59% of marketers say that it's their most effective marketing strategy that they do. On top of that, for every dollar a business spends on email marketing, they typically see a return of $44. Now, that is an amazing return on your marketing spend. In fact, probably one of the best marketing spend returns that you can get. So that's why I want to help you out and help you with these 5 tips to improve your email open rates that you can start applying right after you watch this video. All right, let's dive into those 5 tips that you can use to improve your email open rates, starting with tip number 1, which is to write better subject lines. Now, the subject line is by far one of the most important things with improving your email open rates. It is the thing that affects whether people open it or not, probably the most out of everything on my list. Now, what I would suggest with this is that you either do some A/B testing, which is basically to test out whether one subject line or style of writing a subject line works better than another style of writing a subject line, because really it depends on your niche and your audience, what sort of email subject lines are going to work best. Although there are some that people have published that they've written on and used and seem to work pretty well. If you're interested in what some of those are, you can Google things like best email subject lines and things like that, and you'll find lists on Google of studies that people have done, some of them just on their own sort of emails that they've sent out, and sort of see what sort of open rates they get depending on what they say. And from that, you can usually draw some conclusions and then usually formulate your emails so that they look and function similar to the way that you're seeing on those studies, and then hopefully get more open rates as a result. But again, by far your subject line matters the most. Usually putting whatever that is in your subject line that's most important towards the front versus towards the end, because people tend to read sometimes just part of the subject line and not the whole thing. And that also gets into the fact that you also have to think with the length of your subject line itself. Many email clients and even people on mobile will only see a short part of that subject line if it's a long one. So therefore, you want to either A, make your subject line shorter, or B, just make sure if it does get cut off that you're still going to have an effective subject line for them to want to click on and open your email. All right, with that tip, let's move on to number 2, which is to write a better first sentence. Now, you may be wondering how this is involved at all with opening an email. But if you go back and you look at your email inbox, you'll notice that for most of you, you'll see a preview, sort of just the first sentence of each email under the subject line. This shows up for a lot of people on their email, and therefore many people will sort of glance over that or read that. So you should utilize that first sentence to really help draw people in to click on your email and open it. So again, making sure that first sentence is something that sort of captivates the person's attention and gets their interest, maybe even create some sort of mystery with them to want to actually open it, are usually the most effective ways to sort of use this to your advantage. All right, so there you go. That was number 2. Let's move on to number 3, which is the address name that your email is coming from. So the name, the from name that it's coming from, it should be from a person. Now, the reason for that is most people tend to open emails that seem to come from somebody they know. And that sort of makes sense. If they see a business name as the from email, they're probably going to think it's from a business and it's just a general email, and they're less likely to open it. On top of that, some interesting stats and studies have been done, and they have found that when you use a female name, people are more likely to open that. So either A, use a female name, or B, find someone at your office, that's a female to send out your emails, because there have been studies shown that you get a significant more opens for some reason just because it's a female's name. So there you have it. With those tips, let's move on to our next one, which is number 4, and that is to authenticate your email. So what does this mean? So when you're sending email out, because of the way that the structure of email was created in the first place, it was missing this sort of piece of authentication of saying, hey, I actually did send that email. It is truly from me. Later on in technology, in the years of progressing of the internet, they came up with a way to sort of authenticate that the email actually came from you. So what I suggest you do is make sure that your emails going out actually have that authentication in place, because they don't usually typically have that right out of the box. So you'd want to check on this. It is very important, because if the email doesn't get to the person's inbox, there's no way for them to ever open it. And in fact, many email providers will not accept email that doesn't have this authentication. And on top of that, obviously, if you don't have it, you're more likely to end up in the spam box or spam folder, even if the email company does accept your email. So make sure you go out and check your email address. There's a number of tools online. You can just search for them and in Google, and you'll find some tools to sort of check and see if your email address is being authenticated or not. And of course, we're going to offer a free evaluation. If you want to click, there's a link in the description of this video, and we can kind of help guide you through that and kind of give you some more advice and information. So take advantage of that. With that tip, let's move on to our next one, which is our final one, number 5, which is to send out at better times. Now, this is a big one. A lot of people don't think about this, but there are strategically better times for your email to go out, because people tend to open them at certain times through the day. And even on certain days, people tend to open emails more. So what you should be doing is taking note of when those times and days are. If you have an email platform that can kind of tell you when people open, you should be looking and seeing, when are these people typically opening my emails, what time of the day and what days. Taking note of that and trying to send your emails so that they end up in their inbox at those times. I wouldn't suggest sending them at those times, but prior to those times, so that they end up being in their inbox at that time. What that'll do is it'll put your email first on the list in their inbox, which, as you know, probably everyone reads from the top of their inbox all the way down. So guess what? They're going to see your email first and be more likely to open it than someone else's. So there you go. That's a little trick with that. One other point I've seen, sort of to give you a gauge on these times. Of course, you want to test this out and look for your own emails and see what times work best. But generally what's been found is that around 10 a.m. seems to be a good time that people tend to open their emails throughout every day of the week. Sometimes around 8 p.m. is a good time as well, but 10 p.m. is sort of like the best if you're going to have to choose a time. Of course, again, you need to check this to see with your audience what works best, but if you send them out then to start with, you can at least know that generally they're probably going to get seen, and make sure, again, you're sending them prior to 10 o'clock. That way they end up in their inbox at 10 o'clock. All right, with that, I also, again, as I mentioned before, want to give you something for free. If you look in the description of this video, I have a link to a free evaluation. I'm going to give you a free evaluation on these points that I just talked about here and other things that you want to discuss about your email marketing. So go ahead, take advantage of that. We can help you, make your email marketing and give you a plan or strategy that can help it be improved and get a better return on your dollars that you're spending on it. And with that, I wish you the best with it. And also too, one couple last things. If you're on YouTube watching this, make sure you've hit the thumbs up to say that you liked this video, and make sure you've subscribed to our video channel here and click the bell icon, which will notify you every time we send out one of these awesome videos. All right, till then, I wish you again the best of luck with your email marketing.